How to know when you're paying too much for a classic Mercedes. Because the classic car market is undergoing a major shift, and we're seeing cars that used to not be valuable become valuable, and we're used to seeing cars that I guess nobody thought would be saved or restored, getting saved and restored, some of which are Mercedes. I think it's worth a conversation about when we are spending too much money and when we're not spending too much money. So let's begin with the conversation about spending too much money on a classic Mercedes and why it hurts. There are a couple of rules I follow that I'm going to share with you that you might find extremely useful. The first rule is, are you paying more than comparable cars for your purchase? So let's say I go out and I buy a 1985 300 TD and I pay $10,000 for the car because the car looks nice and it looks decent, but then I see a car for $5,000, a car for $6,000 are in similar condition. You ask yourself immediately, did I pay too much? I think that the problem that we run into very frequently when we ask ourselves this question is this immediate gut feeling that we may have overlooked an opportunity for purchase. And so that's why I tell people, inspect the car before buying it, and if you have a gut feeling that the car is overpriced, then it probably is. So here's some other basic rules of thumb. A car that is cheap, that is priced below market, is worth investigating. So don't pass up an opportunity to investigate a car that's priced below market. Sure, it might be a pile of junk, but you should investigate it anyway, even if it's like on a Facebook marketplace listing or on Craigslist or whatever, and the seller doesn't know what they have. You literally might be getting a better deal than the overpriced $10,000 car. Second of all, just because you've agreed to pay retail for a car and the car presents like it's worth retail money doesn't mean there's a car priced outside of the retail parameter. I make these videos for people who want to beat the market. So always look for the car that is priced below retail. Paying retail for a car, such as buying a car and bringing a trailer, that's what I'd call retail today, means that you are not looking hard enough. That's simply what it means. I mean, somebody in Bring a Trailer was able to buy that car for a lot less money and do a little bit to it and then make you think that it's worth more money by presenting it. Third of all, ignore cleanliness issues. I mean, some people will go out and they'll buy a car just because it's clean and it has a bunch of issues, and then they'll drive it and get dirt all over it and they'll look at it and be like, man, I paid way too much money for this car, because they see it for what it is. So buy a car based on honest presentation, not because it presents better than every other car in the market. You need to look underneath the car, inside the engine bay, under the hood. Now, a fourth rule that I tend to ask people is, do you prefer an original car versus a restored car? And this is something that we're considering when we're looking at cars like a 280 SL or 300 SEL 6.3. Restored cars are always going to be more expensive, but they're not necessarily going to work better. They're just going to contain better visual appeal unless they were done by some kind of marque expert. I always find the better value for the money is a restored car. Now, does that mean that everybody is an original car? Now, does that mean that everybody who watches this video is going to go out and buy an original car? No, there aren't enough original cars to satisfy the demand. But the 5% of you that heed these words and go out and follow my advice and learn what constitutes an original car, go out and buy one, are going to have a much better ownership experience at the end of the day. That's all I've got to say about that. Now, another scenario that I want to talk about is a scenario when you are, like how you know you're getting a good deal. What's the word for this? When you know that you are beating the market. That's the word I want to use. So when you're beating the classic car market and you're paying below retail for an above average car, you're going to have a much better ownership experience. You're not going to have as much regret. You're going to get in the car and you're going to feel confident and happy. Resist the urge to over-improve the car. Only fix it's broken. But do remember that even if the car you had that's a market beater that has a few needs, costs some more money to sort out, the guy who probably overpaid for his car on BAT or whatever website, Hemmings or Second Car, is probably going to have to do the same or similar things. You know, even if it didn't need them right away, they're going to wear out and they're going to fail. So you're either going to spend more money in the short term to buy the car, and then you're going to distribute the funds to sort it out over the next 5 or 6 years as things fail, or you're going to buy a generally solid, cosmetically sound and mechanical car that needs stuff and spend some more money in the short term to sort it out now, but the car's not going to go downhill. And trust me, when you're in a car that costs too much and it starts going downhill and you realize you paid more for this car than anybody else is going to, guess what's going to happen? You're going to regret buying it. And that's what I don't want you to do. So, how to get a market beater. We've talked about this in other videos. Buy through a car club, sl113.org, mbca.org. Sometimes people who have really great cars don't want to advertise them. Buy through a shop that fixes Mercedes. Ask them if they know of anything. Buy from a private owner. Use word of mouth to find an unadvertised car. Find something that reflects the values, the value of the car, you know, in maybe 5 years ago or 3 years ago, not today's values. You want to buy from an owner that does not overvalue their car. Often I find when owners overvalue their cars, they're lying or hiding information, or were too arrogant to just bite the bullet and fix stuff in the past. Or they worked with mechanics that charged them an arm and a leg, and it really ended up hurting them financially, and they got sick of the car, and they still have a bunch of other issues, and they want to get rid of it. So we don't want you to end up in one of those scenarios unless you're buying the car fairly. And if you're selling a car like this, I'm sorry, you know, but sometimes we have to take a bath in cold water, and I've been there myself. So if you like this video and you enjoyed it, please tap the bell for notifications and leave us a comment below. Thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers. Please share this video if you know somebody that needs help and is about to pay too much for their next Mercedes. And if you feel like if you feel like some of these videos have helped you, send me an email, mbownersforlife@bellsouth.net. Let me know if I'm actually helping or not, okay? Thanks, and enjoy the classic Mercedes you already own. It'll never be cheaper.